Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න. Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න.
අර පිරිමැස්ම ගැන හිතන ඔබට Vim Liquid වෙතින් රුපියල් 100ක ඉතිරියක්.
හරිම සුළුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Thursday the 5th of January 2023. New ways. Sri Lanka needs to have a strong foreign policy to forge stronger relations with other countries, says President.
The ministry is at the moment formulating a draft what our foreign policy should be by 2030.
No interference. Government reassures that they will not interfere with the Election Commission's decisions regarding elections. Slashed. Litrogas Lanka Limited slashes prices of all cylinders with effect from midnight today. Part of the solution. President invites the youth to join National Youth Platform to make effective changes to the system.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9 with Andrew Bernard. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening and welcome to AdaDerana 24's English News. In your top story for tonight, President Ranil Wickremesinghe stresses the need for a good foreign service which will be able to forge broader relations with many countries while safeguarding the sovereignty of Sri Lanka. Speaking to newly appointed Sri Lankan envoys who will be leaving abroad to take office at their respective foreign missions, the President said that the Foreign Ministry is currently formulating a draft of Sri Lanka's foreign policy and foreign services for 2030, which is expected to be approved from the Cabinet and the Parliament.
10 newly appointed Sri Lankan ambassadors and a High Commissioner paid a courtesy call to President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday prior to leaving for their missions.
We have to build up a good foreign service, and that will depend on how you all perform. Firstly, the foreign policy. The ministry is at the moment formulating a draft what our foreign policy should be by 2030. There will also be the economic plans. So we have to fulfill the objectives in those plans. It will be basically first to safeguard the sovereignty of Sri Lanka. And that also involves that we should, as a foreign service, be able to have relations with a larger number of countries. We need that. So one is making foreign policy, secondly is making friends. Then the other economic and the security objectives, the climate change objectives that we have to fulfill. Now, what I would expect then is that this is the start of putting a paper up to the Cabinet and thereafter to Parliament, not only on foreign policy but on the foreign service. Now, what are your main function first is to carry out those objectives. We will have the Sri Lanka Diaspora Office here. So all the issues they have there or here can be reflected there. We have to safeguard the rights of Sri Lankans out there. Firstly is to build up your contacts within that country. That is the most important thing. If you have no contact, you are not going to anywhere. And that's what I want you all to start with. The big change is going to be the International Trade Office. The Department of Commerce will be replaced by the International Trade Office because a lot of your work in many areas pertain to trade. So International Trade Office will be an important part of this. So one by one, each of you will have a different objective. So how do we expand our trade and investment and tourism? There we have to start building up our relationships, economic and political.
The President's Media Division made an announcement calling all youth to be part of the National Youth Platform, which is expected to provide opportunity for young people to play a constructive part in society by bringing about the changes they want in the government and the system. Applicants are able to choose from a variety of sectors which they wish to make contributions to and provide proposals for the betterment of each sector. The President's Media Division announced today that a National Youth Platform will be formed concurrent to the 75th National Independence Day celebrations under the advice of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The National Youth Platform's objective is to give Sri Lankan youth the opportunity to be part of the nation-building process in making Sri Lanka a prosperous and well-developed nation by the year 2048. The whole program is oriented to kickstart a 25-year development agenda and make youth responsible partners in the process. The President's Media Unit said the program aims to involve youth to play a constructive role in the country as future leaders. The President's Media Unit said the program aims to involve youth to play a constructive role in the country as future leaders instead of complaining about the system or politicians. It further stated that the President believes that if the youth want to make a change, they have to come forward and take leadership, and the National Youth Platform is the opportunity for them to emerge. Applications are open to become a part of the National Youth Platform under 3 different categories, which are namely Member, Youth Organization and Advisor. Individuals can apply as members by submitting their CVs and proposals for a selected focus area from a list that can be accessed on the President's Media Division website. Organizations will have to send a report with details of the membership base and projects and programs they have done over the years to gain membership. People with expert knowledge of focus areas can apply or be nominated by an advisor to the program and will be chosen after an interview process. All applicants are requested to send a self-written application via email on or before the 31st of January to dir.ysd@presidentsoffice.lk or by registered post to Director Youth and Sustainable Development, Presidential Secretariat, Colombo 1. Youth wishing to volunteer for the core team of the National Youth Platform as a volunteer in administration, content creation, IT, marketing, logistics and finances may directly contact the Director of Youth and Sustainable Development and the Presidential Secretariat via email. Now, Litrogas Lanka Limited cut down prices of its gas cylinders today, with the 12.5 kilogram cylinder reduced by 201 rupees today. Speaking at a media briefing, Chairman of the Litrogas Lanka Limited, Mudita Piris, meanwhile said that the loss-making entity was able to make close to ₹1 billion in profit during 2022, enabling part repayment of the $70 million loan.
Litrogas Lanka Limited took steps to reduce the price of domestic gas cylinders with effect from midnight today. Accordingly, a 12.5 kilogram domestic cylinder sold for 4,610 rupees was reduced by 201 rupees. This price reduction brings the new price of a 12.5 kilogram cylinder to 4,409 rupees. A 5 kilogram domestic gas cylinder was earlier sold at 1,850 rupees and its price has been reduced by 80 rupees. Accordingly, its new price is 1,770 rupees. Also, the price of a 2.3 kilogram gas cylinder has been reduced by 38 rupees and its new price is 822 rupees.
2022 වර්ෂයේ ජූනි මාසයේ වෙනකන් අපි බිලියන 6.7ක පාඩුවක් ලැබලා තිබුණු ආයතනයක් ඒත් අපිට පුළුවන් වෙලා තියෙනවා 2022 වර්ෂය රුපියල් බිලියනයකට මදක් අධික ලාභයකින් තම ශක්තිමත් රාජ්‍ය ආයතනයක් විදියට 2023 වර්ෂයට පා තබන්න අපි ජූලි මාසයේ ලබා ගන්න යෙදුණු ඩොලර් මිලියන 70 ලෝක බැංකුව ආධාර ණය ආධාරය යටතේ ඒක දීර්ඝකාලීන ණයක් වුණත් ඒකේ සැබෑ අයිතිකරුවා වුණු මහ භණ්ඩාගාරයට අපි බිලියන 26ක මුදලම දෙසැම්බර් 31 වෙනිදා වෙනකොට අපි ගෙවලා නිම කරන්න යෙදුණා.
නැවත මිල සංශෝධනයකට අපතුමාලා කොයි වගේ කාලයකද යන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ?
ලබන මාසයේ ලෝක වෙළඳපොලේ සහ මිල සූත්‍රයට සාපේක්ෂව අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මිල සංශෝධනයකට යන්න. පෙබරවාරි මාසයේ මැද හරිය වගේ.
The Minister of Justice, Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, says that the government does not influence the decisions taken by the Election Commission pertaining to the local government elections, adding that no attempts have been made by the government to change the election agenda. Speaking in Parliament today, the Justice Minister said that the Election Commission has a responsibility to take independent decisions pertaining to the local government elections.
පළාත් පාලන ආයතන මැතිවරණ සංශෝධන නැමැති පනත් කෙටුම්පත පිළිබඳව වාර්තාව මම ඉදිරිපත් කරමි.
දෙවැනි වර කියවීම කවදාද?
හෙට දිනේ
125ක තරුණයන්ගේ නියෝජනයට අදාළව ඒ කරන ලද ඉල්ලීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් පුද්ගලික පනත් කෙටුම්පත ඉදිරිපත් කිරීමට අදාළව ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා ගරු අමාත්‍යතුමාට. කළ මම හිතන්නේ මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කාගේවත් එකට විරුද්ධත්වයක් නැහැ.
මෙතුමාගේ මේ පෞද්ගලික මන්ත්‍රීවරුන්ගේ යෝජනාව ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න මාස 6කට කලින් ඕ යෝජනාව ඉම්තියාස් බාකර මෙතුමා ගෙනාවා. ඒක පස්සට දාලා ගරු අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමාගේ කාර්යාලයෙන් මම කනගාටු වෙනවා. ඒක පස්සට දාලා මේ නොවැම්බර් මාසයේ ඉදිරිපත් කරපු මෙතුමාගේ යෝජනාව ඉස්සරහට ගත්තා. හිතාපත් නින්දිත ක්‍රියාවක්.
You are totally misleading the house. You are unaware of what is happening. No,
අද දින ඉදිරිපත් කරපු කෙටුම්පත පිළිබඳව මං හිතන්නේ මේ සභාවේ කවුරුවත් කලබලයට පත් වෙන්න කිසි හේතුවක් නැහැ. අපි කවුරුත් දන්නවා ආණ්ඩු ක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව අනුව මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ඉදිරිපත් කරනු ලබන පනත් කෙටුම්පතක් ඉදිරිපත් කරාට පස්සේ දීර්ඝ ක්‍රියාවලියක් තියෙනවා. ඒක අමාත්‍ය උපදේශක කාරක සභාවට යන්න තියෙනවා. යමෙකු අධිකරණයට යනවා නම් සති දෙකක කාලයක් තිබෙනවා. අධිකරණයට ඒ පිළිබඳව නියෝගයක් දෙන්න සති 3ක කාලයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව ගරු නියෝජ්‍ය කතානායකතුමනි සාමාන්‍ය දැනීම ඇති ඕන කෙනෙකුට තේරෙනවා ක්‍රියාවලිය අපිට මාස 2කමාරක් 3ක් යනකම් කරගන්න හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ මේ තියෙන ක්‍රමවේදය අනුව. ඒ නීතියක් ආයනකොට මේ මැතිවරණය ඉවර වෙලා තියෙවි.
ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම මේක ගැන කවුරුත් කලබල වෙන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. නමුත් කලබලයට හේතුව බොහෝ දෙනෙකුගේ අවිශ්වාසයක් තිබෙනවා. මැතිවරණ ක්‍රියාවලිය ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කරපු ආකාරයට ඉදිරියට යන්නට රජයේ ඉඩ දෙයිද නැද්ද කියන කාරණාව. රජය ඍජුව සහ වක්‍ර ක්‍රමවේද තුලින් පණිවිඩයක් යවනවා මේ සල්ලි නැහැ කියන කාරණාව. ඉතින් මම අධිකරණ ඇමතුමාගෙන් බොහොම පැහැදිලිව අහන්න කැමතියි මේ මැතිවරණය નિયમિત කාලවකවානුවට පවත්වන්නට රජය ලබා දිය යුතු සියලුම පහසුකම් සියලුම ප්‍රතිපාදන නොපිරිහෙලාම ලබා දෙන්නට කටයුතු කරනවද නැද්ද?
අපි මැතිවරණ කොමිෂන් සභාවේ කටයුතු බාධා කරන්න හෝ ඔවුන්ගේ න්‍යාය පත්‍රය වෙනස් කරන්න හෝ කිසිම තීන්දුවක් අරගෙනත් නැහැ. අපි ඒ උදවියට දැනුම් දීමක් කරලත් නැහැ. ඒක නිසා ඒ වගකීම මැතිවරණ කොමිසම විසින් ස්වාධීනව ඉටු කළ යුතුයි.
The lost delays in our courts have not only caused difficulties to litigants and the general public, it also is a serious matter that affects the investment climate of the country. The lost delays in our courts have caused serious impediment to attract investment to the country because of this inordinate delay that we experience because of the long processes that needs to be followed. So we must also attempt to look at the whole issue in a holistic fashion and try and engage both with the Bar Association, Attorney General's Department and other agencies which are involved in the administration of justice in this country, also the police department and various other agencies of government, and devise ways and means of trying to see whether we can adapt procedures that are available in other jurisdictions to see that we improve the present condition of lost delays in our country.
The Bureau of Rehabilitation Bill, the government seems to have some kind of obsession with this bureau that they want to create. One of the important concerns we have is as to who constitutes this bureau. It can't be the military. If you want to rehabilitate drug dependence, I don't understand what the military or security officials have to do with that. That has to be experts in that area. It's not an easy task to rehabilitate drug dependence. When a person is deprived of his personal liberty, that must happen only after a judicial pronouncement. Now, this is a departure from that norm. Here you are envisaging a situation where without court finding a person guilty of certain things, that person can be incarcerated, I'm using that word advisedly, because he's being deprived of his personal liberty. There are provisions in the bill that say that if he runs away, you can catch him and bring him back. The one important fundamental in a drug rehab program is the voluntariness of the person, that the person must want to be rehabilitated. You can't force it down his throat. So, in addition to a judicial pronouncement, I also say, in a matter where drug dependency is concerned, you must also have a medical opinion. Both those conditions attached, then you can set up a rehabilitation center, but it must be administered, run by experts in that field, not security experts.
Now, the governing party, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, commenced their presentation of election deposits for the local government election today, starting from the Kalutara district. According to the Election Commission, 1 political party and 3 independent groups contesting for the 20 local government bodies have so far presented their election deposits. Acceptance of the election deposits for the local government polls are expected to conclude on the 12th noon on the January 20th.
Acceptance of election deposits of candidates for the local government election commenced yesterday. It is expected to conclude at 12 noon on the 20th of January. It was reported that an independent group contesting for the Bandarwala Municipal Council has presented their election deposit on the first day of accepting election deposits. Meanwhile, this morning, The governing party, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, began presenting their election deposits for the local government election starting from the Kalutara district.
බොහෝ පළාත් පාලන ආයතන අපි තරඟ කරනු ලබන්නේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොදුජන පෙරමුණ නාමය සහ පොහොට්ටුව ලකුණ යටතේ. ඒක අපි තාම එහෙම තීරණයක් අරගෙන නැහැ. ඉදිරි වැඩපිළිවෙල සමග දෙපාර්ශ්වයට එකඟ වෙන්න පුළුවන් නම් එකතු වීමක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අපේ ජයග්‍රහණය අපිට විශ්වාසයි. ජයග්‍රහණය ගැන විශ්වාස නැති කට්ටිය තමයි මං හිතන්නේ ඔය ඡන්ද කල් දාන කතා විවිධ කතා කිය මේ ලතවිවි ඉන්නේ.
According to the Election Commission, one political party and 3 independent groups contesting for 20 local bodies have presented their election deposits so far. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Supreme Lanka Coalition and the Freedom People's Congress held discussions pertaining to the local government election today with the Election Commission.
නැත් අපි දැඩිලෙස විශ්වාස කරනවා අපි සන්දාන ගත වෙලා තමයි මේ මැතිවරණයට ඉදිරිපත් වෙන්නේ කියලා. ඉතින් අද අපි මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් නීතිමය කරුණු ටික මැතිවරණ කොමිසමත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කළා. අපිට निराකරණය කරගන්න අවශ්‍ය තු සියලුම කරුණු निराකරණය වුණා. ඒ නිසා අපිට කිසිම නීතිමය ගැටලුවක් පෙනෙන්නේ ඉදිරියට යන්න.
සන්දානේ හදලා ඉවරයි කියන්නේ.
හැදෙමින් පවතිනවා.
නමක්
ඒවා අපි ලබන සඳුදා වන විට ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කරනවා.
අපි දකිනවා ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ නිදහස් ජනතා සභාව සහ කටයුතු පෙරදී රාජ්‍යකතුරු ගමනක් යන දෙන්නේ.
මේ රටේ හදන පුළුල්ම ප්‍රගතිශීලී බලවේගය අපි හදනවා. සාකච්ඡා බොහෝ දුරට සාර්ථකයි. ලබන සතිය වෙනකොට අපිට අවසන් තීන්දුව ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ අවසන් තීන්දුව ගත්තයින් පස්සේ මේ අපදන්පත් කිරීම සහ දයිසු සකස් කිරීම සිදු කරනවා. මේ රටේ තියෙන අලුත් දේශපාලන ව්‍යාපාරයක් අලුතෙන් අපි බිහි කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
දැන් මේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ උත්තර සභාව, නිදහස් සභාව මේ තුන එක්කව කළාද මේ අලුත් සන්දානයේ පිහිටවන්නේ?
ඊට අමතරව තවත් ගණනාවක් තිබෙනවා. මම තව කණ්ඩායමක් ඉන්නවා අපි කියන්නේ නැහැ පාර්ලිමේන්තු නියෝජනය කරන. ඉතින් මම හිතන්නේ අවසන් තීන්දුව අපිට කියන්න වෙන්නේ ලබන සතියේ.
And we'll be back with more news after this short commercial break. Stay with us.
It's hard to keep up with the new when you're listening to the same old Slim Bread Week. A week for professionals.
Welcome back. Now, the chairman of the Public Utilities Commission, Janaka Ratnayaka, said today that the tariff proposal put forward by the Ceylon Electricity Board to the cabinet are based on factually incorrect data. Speaking at a media briefing today, he added that he believes that the CB has not managed the income they have been earning in the past months properly.
There's a huge debate over the proposed tariff increments triggered by cabinet. I think last week the cabinet was to take a decision. Fortunately, it was delayed till next Monday, and this proposal not properly given by the Ceylon Electricity Board, and it was not prepared according to the norms and the procedures. Proposal has just made up based on the presentation done by the new general manager with a female engineer and the secretary of the ministry, and based on that only this proposal has been sent to the cabinet for approval. Luckily, the cabinet did not take favourable decision on that regard, because had they taken the decision, it would have been a decision based on wrong facts and figures, and therefore we urge even the members of the cabinet not to take decision based on this illegal proposal, but to probably go through the correct procedure and send the right proposal for the right channels where PCSL will consider that and take an appropriate decision. But with the tariff hike that we have given almost 4 months back, and since we see that CB is making operational profits, and considering the fact that raw materials that used to generate power, that is coal and electricity, and again to import these items, the dollar which has not been appreciated, there's no need revision again at this moment. And since the CB is making reasonable profits, the issue is that it's strongly recommended to the board also the cash flows from 19 billion to 35 billion has not been managed properly. So before the restructuring of CB, they need to make sure that the 35 billion rupees that they earn every month from these customers, they should manage properly.
Now, the Sri Lankan Embassy in Washington, along with the Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Agency, have secured and confirmed job orders for 550 employment opportunities in the United States. In a statement, the Sri Lankan Embassy in the US said that employment opportunities are now available for 250 registered nurses, 100 laboratory technicians, and 200 nursing assistants in the US. The statement further said that the Sri Lankan Embassy, in coordination with the Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Agency, is currently exploring further avenues of sourcing legal job opportunities for Sri Lankans in the United States. In your business news, the All Ireland United Container Transport Owners Association announced that last night that freight container transportation charges will be decreased by 2.5%. Accordingly, the charges will be reduced in line with the price revision that was brought about by the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and the Lanka IOC after they slashed the auto diesel prices by 15 rupees per litre to 405 rupees on Monday. Now, Sri Lankan shares fell for a second straight session today as investors adopted a wait-and-see approach on various tax revisions and electricity tariff discussions that came out this week. The main all-share price index closed 0.56% lower at 8,463.93. The SPI has lost 0.77% in the first week of trade after losing 1.8% in December. The more liquid index S&P SL20 closed 0.76% or 20.2 points lower at 2,612.94. The market witnessed a turnover of 2.3 billion rupees, slightly lower than 2022's daily average turnover of 2.9 billion rupees. The market meanwhile saw a net foreign outflow of 147 million rupees. The net foreign inflow for the first week of January is 63 million rupees. The total foreign inflow for 2022 was 31 billion rupees so far. Expo Lanka dragged the index down to close at 2.5% lower at 173 rupees and 5 cents. In the meantime, Commercial Bank fell 1.9% to close at 50 rupees and 6 cents, and Ceylon Bank closed 8.9% lower at 26 rupees and 5 rupees a share. Now let's take a look at how the rupee fared against other major currencies in the world. That's all the news we have for this evening. Join us again tomorrow for the very latest news at the very same time. Have a pleasant evening and good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.